Ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to thank you for your patience. We've just been informed that Mr. Silva will not be able to make this meeting. So with having said that, good afternoon. This is the adjourned regular meeting of the El Centro City Council. We did not have any closed session, so we will have our roll call, please.
Councilmember Villegas-Walker?
Here.
Councilmember Silva? Absent. Councilmember Jackson?
Here.
Mayor Sanders?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Solomon? Absent.
I will lead the pledge, and Councilmember Walker will do the pleasure of the invocation. Please rise. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads and remain standing. Heavenly Father, thank you for this glorious day. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come together at the City Council meeting. Help us to be ever mindful of the role that we play as elected officials, and help us to do those things that are favorable in thy sight. Help us to live in a spirit of gratitude and to do all we can for those in need. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Bless you.
God bless you. This is a public meeting, and if there is an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, please complete a speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. When that item is announced and your name is called by the mayor, please come forward to the microphone, address yourself to the council, stating your name and address for the record. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. If you wish to address the council on any on any subject matter within the council's jurisdiction that is not listed on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment portion of the agenda. We're now prepared for our public hearing. Public hearing to consider the recommendations of the Planning Commission regarding the housing element annual progress report, January 1 to 11 through December 31 to 11. Presentation will be made by our Planning Director, Mrs. Villacana.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. The item before you is our annual report for our housing element, which is due March 31st. What we have presented to you is a breakdown of our accomplishment during the calendar year, January 1, 2011 to December 31st, 2011. As you may recall, our housing element period is from 2008 to 2014, and it was approved by HCD back in 2009. If I may highlight some of the accomplishments within your report, our RENA goals numbers for this reporting period is 2,908 units, residential units. So far, we have been able to provide 17.8%, which equals to 518 units. And I understand our new RENA numbers will be a little bit less, 1924 or something like that. So hopefully that'll help us within the next reporting period. Also, during the calendar year, our department completed several tasks. One of them, and that's on table C of your report, we completed a couple of amendments to our zoning ordinance, basically to accommodate emergency shelters by right, and also to allow group homes, large daycare facilities, also by right in the residential areas. Also, what we've also completed is we completed a change of zone for 1.25 acres at 1725 Adams Avenue from general commercial to residential, multifamily residential. So we're hoping that that parcel will be utilized for multifamily residential units, which will help us meet our RENA numbers.
And for this year, or is that for next year?
The change of zone has been completed. Now we just need a project, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So in general, we're trying to accommodate and meet our arena numbers. However, as you know, with the economy, we've only been able to issue 4 new construction permits, and those were for above moderate income level housing. I anticipate that for next year with the 8th Street apartments, that would help, that would raise the numbers for affordable income housing. At this time, we're asking that you open the public hearing and accept the annual report as submitted to the council.
Okay. Before we open public hearing, I'll see if there's any questions or comments from members of the council.
I'd just like to remind the council that the RENA goals that were set for the city of El Centro for this planning period of 2006-2014 were characterized by SCAG as being exceptionally high and probably not attainable by most jurisdictions. We're completing the new RENA cycle, and we've been very pleased with the numbers that have been allocated to the jurisdictions. We found that they're taking into account things such as the downturn in the economy and also vacancy rates, things like that. So we feel that our goals for the next planning period will certainly be achievable. That being said, I think staff has done an outstanding job meeting housing needs during this period as well, and look forward to more projects coming online.
If there's no further comments, this is a public hearing. It is now open. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on either side of the issue? Having no one come forward, the public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of council?
Move for acceptance of the annual progress report on the implementation of the City of El Centro housing element, covering the period from January 2011 through December 2011.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Walker, second by Jackson, for the progress report to be approved and accepted. What's all ballot? Ready? Have you ballot? You want a ballot? Okay.
Motion carries 3 with 2 absent.
Okay, thank you. We're ready now for item number 2. It's a public hearing to solicit public input, make any changes or modifications to the draft 2012-2013 one-year action plan prepared for the funds under the CDBG entitlement program and subject to a 30-day public review. Mrs. Pedra?
Yes, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This item is actually a follow-up item. It's actually the preparation of our draft annual action plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program. We had, as you may recall, a conversation with you or a presentation on February the 7th to discuss which priorities, which programs, projects you wanted to see included for funding consideration for fiscal year 2012-2013. The report presented to you this afternoon is basically the projects and programs that were included. We anticipate having available to us $534,973. Of those funds, $472,973 is our actual allocation from HUD, and we anticipate receiving about $62,000 in program income. The page that summarizes those programs and projects that we're considering funding for this next fiscal year are actually on page 10 of your report, and the other information in the report pretty much just describes those projects and how we plan on implementing and how we meet the requirements of HUD. As you can see, we have broken down these various programs under housing categories, public services, relocation, which consists basically of assisting with the relocation of the public library once the building is ready to be occupied at our new location, a new demolition loan program, code enforcement activities, funding a gap that we have in our indoor sports complex, and using some funds for our program administration. So in essence, I mean, this is the programs and projects we plan on implementing. If there's any specific question that you may have regarding the content of the document, what we're doing is we're basically opening our 30-day public comment period, which is required by HUD. And if there's any comments that we receive or any changes that we foresee with the plan, we'll make sure that we provide those to you before the plan is submitted to HUD, which the deadline is May 15th.
May 15th. Any questions of Mrs. Piedra before we open a public hearing?
I do have one question.
Okay, Ms. Walker?
Ms. Piedra, we know that some of the applicants have been in attendance at our meetings, and they know pretty much that their proposal was not going to be funded.
Yes, that's
Has
correct.
there been contact with your office with regard to any of those decisions? Has anyone contacted you about the plan for this year?
As far as I understand, we haven't received, or at least I'm not aware of any comments. What we try to do too is, after we receive all the proposals, and especially when we have that presentation on February the 7th, we notify each of those agencies whether or not it's eligible or ineligible. We notify them. And with some of these agencies, if we see any particular question we may have or any clarification we need in their proposal, then we also obviously make contact, but we advise them and encourage them to come into the council meeting and listen into, obviously the priorities and the conversations that take place regarding the item.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Jackson? Hearing none. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that wish to speak on either side of this issue? This is regarding our CDBG entitlement funding. Seeing no one come forward, the public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of council?
Move for approval of resolution number 12-35, resolution of the City Council of the City of El Centro approving the one-year action plan for the 2012-2013 CDBG funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second.
Moved by Walker, second by Jackson. Ballot, please.
That motion carries 3 with 2 absent.
Okay, thank you. We're here for public comments. The council welcomes your input at this time. Is there any member of the audience who wish to have public comments at this time? Seeing no one come forward. Ms. Walker, you would like to have council members' remarks at this time?
Yes, I was disappointed to see that was left off the agenda this time, but I guess in lieu of us not having a meeting last Tuesday, I would like to comment on a few things. First being that the city's been very busy, and the Imagine Awards were over the top, spectacular, and successful. And kudos to staff. I think everyone in attendance saw it as an extraordinarily positive event. The recognition to the city at that point in time was just well timed. And again, just kudos to staff for that. That was fabulous. Also, as you may know, the second Arts in Motion event was held downtown at the old post office. And again, our Christy Reister is president of the Arts in Motion Council. So again, kudos to staff for that. Also, the city will be participating in the 2012 Earth Day celebration. That's been talked about a number of times at the Community Enhancement Task Force. I'd like to encourage you all to attend. In terms of task force updates, Mr. Duran and I had the opportunity to meet with Supervisor Mike Kelly and Benny Benavides, Chief Probation Officer, with regard to graffiti abatement efforts, as well as parental responsibility for juveniles that elect to engage in that type of behavior. We thought that there will be follow-up conversations with Chief Benavides and our police chief, as well as we thought it would be a timely topic for the city mayors to discuss at the League of California Cities dinner coming up on Thursday. The groundbreaking event over at the apartments was, again, spectacular, very encouraging to finally see that project come online. The last thing I wanted to discuss, there was a news story, KYMA. I asked for and received a copy of that's the narrative that accompanied the story. Had to do with El Centro firefighters, morale is low. Had some firefighters who elected to speak out at that time on what they call low morale in the last few years. Not within the last few days, mind you, it was within the last few years. The firefighters elected to remain anonymous, saying that the last 5 to 7 years have been filled with turmoil, number of complaints, lack of leadership, hostile work environment. Couple of lawsuits, complained that making several complaints about foul language, discrimination based on race, age, medical condition. Say that their claims were ignored by the city manager and also by our human resources manager. One firefighter, again, choosing to remain anonymous, saying that it's gotten to the point where we're losing firefighters and they are going to other places, which is something that we have experienced for years, if not decades, that both firefighters and police officers come to the city of El Centro and get some outstanding, wonderful. Mr. Jackson, am I boring you at this time?
No, I'm just going over some days.
Okay. Outstanding training here, and then electing to move on to other career opportunities. I would like to, at this time, publicly express my disappointment at the actions of the firefighters who participated in this, who complained anonymously about not only our outgoing and retired fire chief, but also complained anonymously about our city manager and our human resources manager. The timing of these television broadcasts speaks volumes of the mean-spirited intent of those who contacted the television station. We do, however, have an obligation as a city council to evaluate the allegations that our city manager and the human resources manager have, quote, ignored these claims. We have an obligation to follow up, and we will do so. And I will state publicly that if these allegations are found to be without merit, I hope we can encourage these fire department personnel to seek opportunities elsewhere. And my reason for that is simply this. As a first responder, we expect our firefighters to be professional, compassionate, empathetic, and above all else, to exercise good judgment. None of these traits, professionalism, compassion, empathy, or the exercise of good judgment, were displayed by the timing of this news story. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other council member wish to have any remarks?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Wanted to say that I was honored to attend and speak at the tree planting ceremony that was put on by the Senior Center and their committee in honor of Mr. Gillis and Miss Diane Newton. Thought it was a very well attended event, and certainly one that honors two of our community organizers here in El Centro. Also attended the IBDC Renewable Energy Conference that was held out at the Barworth Country Club. Felt that the event was very well put on by IBDC, certainly inspired lots of conversation and lots of hope for our community as far as the renewable energy industry coming to Imperial County. Many of these projects are coming to the Imperial County Planning Commission as well as the Board of Supervisors in the coming months, and hopefully some of these will come to fruition and will help in our overall unemployment numbers for Imperial County. Also was able to attend the National Workforce Board Conference in Washington, D.C. representing Imperial County, and certainly some new ideas coming from the National Board as we look to train our work staff and prepare them for future employment in this tough economic times. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Based upon some of the comments being made by Ms. Walker, I want to underscore the importance of traveling to Sacramento with Mrs. Pedra as we receive that great honor. I cannot begin to express the joy and overwhelming pride I felt in our staff. The staff had done such an outstanding job with these two programs, our Business Visitation and our Imagine Award, that the state actually recognized us for that. So to come back on the eve of that event and then have that wonderful plaque and award, which is an award of excellence. So I think I want to share with the council that we received the top award in that category. So that speaks volumes for the type of staff we have, their dedication and their commitment to these programs. Also, to want to underscore that we will be having our League of Cities Division meeting. It's going to be hosted by the City of Hopeville. It will be this Thursday. Our State League President, Mike Kasperzak, will be in attendance. So I encourage all of you that can to RSVP with either with Mrs. Caldwell or either Mrs. Obeso, so that you would be on tap of being there. Their social hour will be hosted in Hopeville as well, but it'll be at the Hot Rod Bar and Grill. So if you wish to come and join us at the social hour, please do. If you wish to be there for the main event and hear from the State League President, he's going to be sharing with us some of the challenges that we face in municipalities. I also want to say that I think that as we look around us, and as Mrs. Beather and I were in Sacramento, we realize that our city is I'm going to be sounding a little bit like I'm gloating here, but our city is head and shoulders above so many others as it relates to what we're doing for economic development. And again, I want to underscore the leadership of our city staff as we move forward in that arena. I look forward to working with you, Mrs. Walker and Mr. Benavides, as it relates to what we're going to be able to see regarding graffiti abatement. And if there's nothing else to come before this council at this time, nothing else? All minds are clear? Then this meeting is adjourned.